Listen to your gut. Don't listen to anybody else. Listen to you. Listen to what you feel is right. You know it. It's in you. Like you're doing it. It's your thing to do. You are the only one with the answers. You can take advice, but I would advise you not to take too much advice. Because it's other people's opinions, and at the end of the day, they're not you, and you don't know what way they're saying it or what energy they're coming with. So just back yourself, be confident in yourself, and do it for you. My name is Joshua Spillane from Midleton in East Cork. I'm owner and operator inside in Cornerstone Pizzeria, which was a little kind of idea that I had a long time ago, and it has obviously come to fruition. I lived a lot of my life in a position of I was going to take over the business that Dad was running, all of this type of stuff. I was never living in the position of my own life. I felt that moving into the food industry was a kind of a natural thing for us because we had been in the bar. Most people will know, like food strikes memories. When you're sitting there eating that bacon and cabbage that your grandmother made you, it brings you back to that day you were in the kitchen with them while they were cooking. You could smell the bacon on the hob, you can nearly taste the cabbage, like it's that same imprint, the memories that are created from food are everlasting and they're very, very important. And they bring happiness, which is even more important. It's the power of positive food and positive people, nourishing people can make a huge difference in your life, when you can see the happiness on the faces of the people who are handing the pizza to, kids coming in with their parents, staring into the oven. That to me is the biggest achievement out of it, or the biggest positive out of it all. It's just a very nice thing to be doing, you know. So our dough, which, like in my opinion, dough is life. It's what the whole business is structured around. It dictates our time on getting up. It dictates our time on finishing up. You know, even down to the weather. If the weather is different, then the dough is different. So the dough is a living organism within the building, basically. It's the crux of the whole business, and it can be temperamental. Like I remember days when we started coming in and the fridge would have dropped overnight, let's say, because the heat from the oven would put the fridges under pressure. So if we hadn't the windows open during the night, the heat would build massively in here. The fridges would rise up by 2 or 3 degrees, and you come in and the door would be after bursting its banks, blowing out over everything. You'd open the fridge door, and you're met with a river of dough falling out on top of you. You know. So we had those days too, and those challenges, and you kind of figure out your proof time from that. It's just it was a mad learning experience, and to be honest, we're still learning. There's still days where you're like, how how is it different now? How is this happened? But it's a learning process. I think the day you open the pizzeria is the day you start learning. You're not bringing it all in from somewhere else because your water is slightly different. Your humidity in the air might be slightly different depending on where you are in the world. So it's all variable. But again, it's just about trial and having the confidence to do it and wanting to do it and wanting to wake up in the morning and wondering how that dough is, and walking in then and seeing it perfectly formed. It's a very exciting thing. Like to be honest, it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it, which is mad. There are a lot of sleepless nights involved in an open fire in the corner of a building that you close and walk away from at 10 o'clock. So there's that side of it. But for me, the taste, texture, flavor, the heat, the feeling, in the winter when the place is freezing, this maintains heat throughout the whole building. Now in the summer it's hard going, obviously, but it's hard going for maybe 3 weeks of the year. So we take it as it is. But for me, there is no other option, only wood fired. What's leaving most people down is the quality of the product, and the passion. Like you need to find passion in it. If you've lost the passion for it, it's time to move to something else. The love of dough, I think, is the thing. Our fresh quality produce as well is huge. We spend too much money on our cheese, too much money on our pepperoni, but it's the right stuff. It's what it's supposed to be. It's the real deal. For me in this industry, if everybody would just start using the real product, start spending the money on the real product, then the customers will come after that. But you have to have the foresight to see that the product is key, you know. for me, the most important thing was that people would take it first day, that people actually enjoyed the pizza that we were making. That was vital. Now that it transpires into the fact that we are making fantastic food and it's standing alone and doing its own thing, what's actually showing me success is working with my wife, working with my brother, working with my father, and everybody being able to take from the same pot, and the pot not being under pressure. Everybody rowing in together. If one can't cover this, then the other can cover that. And again, they say it's hard to work with family. It can be hard to work with family, but again, you can make it as hard as you want. Lucky for us, we've always worked together. And I don't think I could do something without my brother, without my father, without my wife by my side. Success is the secondary to the happiness and working alongside the people that you love. There was a particular defining point in my life where I realized that it's not about just me, it's about my life as a whole, about the people around me, about whether I want to be happy or whether I want to live a life of sadness. I lost a very important member of my immediate family, and that showed me that life is fragile, that things can easily change, and that you need to do what you want to do and do what you love in order to get to where you want to be. I had the option to take to the bed and never again get out of it. It was one of those type of things. It's a very, very, very difficult point in my life. But I couldn't let that happen to my life, nor for the life of the person who moved on. I had to show that there was meaning behind his being, meaning behind him being here, meaning behind what he taught me. So for me, yeah, that was a huge crux in my life. And Kai, to you, I'll forever be grateful, young man. Personally and professionally, how I've grown, I feel that I've grown massively in patience. This is the first, all the responsibilities stop with me and start with me. That was one of the hardest things to learn, was how to delegate my time, how to not get burnt out, how to manage people. You need to be able to see when somebody is hurting, to see when somebody needs a day off, to see when somebody is just fed up and just wants to sit down and talk to you for 10 minutes. I think learning that and learning how to deal with the people and learning how to deal with the systems, and obviously with the influx of, like, we do huge numbers, so the influx of that amount of people you're dealing with at that cash point or at the point of sale. So like the interaction with the customer is huge. Like, you can negate a lot of issues with your interaction with the customer. If you come across to the customer and you're rude in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter if you're serving Michelin starred food or if you're serving something out of the side of a rolling truck. It's down to the way you interact with the customer and how you treat the customer, and then that in turn is the same way you treat your staff, and in return it's the same way you treat your suppliers, and it all comes back to that whole thing. It's just how to treat people. At the start, I wanted things in a certain way, and that's the way it was to be. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to do that for you because they're their own person. They'll do it to their best ability, but it mightn't be what you want. And at the end of the day, you kind of have to leave those bits and pieces. You you can't be that dictator down on top of everybody all the time. you know that was an issue of mine, was being impatient with people, learning, impatient with people wanting to do. I wanted it done in this process. No, it has to be done in a certain process, but it doesn't have to be done exactly the way that I wanted it done. It can be, you're achieving the same standard, but it just might be one step different to the way I would do it. And you never know, it might actually be the way that it should be done. It might actually show you that, my my thought was completely out on this process. He was actually bang on, and I was sitting with a bit of stress over this, even though he was making the correct moves and I was incorrect. So I suppose patience is the key to it for me anyway. That's what I've mostly grown in. So I've mostly learned. When you start something, you don't know what way it's going to go. You have a fair idea, but that mightn't be the way it goes. So you're taking that huge jump also. Be open to anything, be willing to take on any challenges, and put yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's where the learning is made. That's when things begin to take shape. For me, it was knocking on the door. Can I work in this pizzeria? Can I just come in and observe? That's how it started. I'd observe over a couple of days. I'd fall in on prep work, so I went totally out of my comfort zone. to a business where I knew one person involved and he had maybe, I think there was 100 people working throughout the business. It was very uncomfortable, and there will be times where it's wicked uncomfortable and times where you're doubting yourself and all of that, but just keep going, keep going, because you will get there eventually and you'll see it. People will support you because they'll see that you're making the effort, and you will inspire other people as well. If I could go back in time, if I could change anything, I would have done this sooner. I would have done it sooner. I would have made the pull sooner. I had this recurring thing turning up in my life for the first 2 years, before I made the move to West Cork. It was West is best was continuously coming up in my life. Whether it was text messages, people saying it, just randomly coming across it. But it was something that kept popping up in my life. And I was putting off the big move to Bantry to try to maintain the bar for Dad and to try to build a life here. And why am I jumping out now to go down there? I already have a life here. So I was dealing with all of that stuff. But then when I made the move to West, when I went to learn, it truly showed me what's possible for my life and what's possible for the life of this business. Like, I just realized you can do anything you want. And I had an idea of that, but it really, really, it became instilled and ingrained in me from the process of making the jump. So yeah, if I was to change anything, I would have done it earlier. I would have made the jump earlier. I would have gotten us up and out of the bar and into this a lot earlier. But again, there's times for it. You have to learn in different ways. So yeah, if there is anything I could change, it would be starting this earlier. The future will be whatever it will be, and I can't particularly put a finger on it right now, but I know it's going to be very, very bright and it's going to last for a long, long time. But this is my soul. This is where my soul is at. So this is my soul place. I don't think I'll ever have a second or third. I think when you start to go into the seconds and thirds of things, the quality can start to drop. And for me, it's about focusing down and getting the product extremely right, getting the customers in the door and having the interaction with the customer correct. A lot of the reason that this business has taken off so well is because the passion that we have behind it, because we're proud of it, because we want it to go that direction. So if I split my time over too many of these things, I feel that you could get a bit lost in it all. So for me, I want to make this I want this to be an institution amongst my town for the rest of my days. I want it to be serving the children of the children that we're serving right now. You know, I want to see the future in it. I want to be sitting in a bar when I'm 80 years old and hear a young fellow coming and talking about Cornerstone Pizzeria. That's what I'm looking forward to. So for me, that's the success and that's the end goal. Make sure that you're doing it for you, make sure that it's your dream. So a lot of people get caught up in other people's dreams. A lot of people get caught up in the trendy things and all of this stuff, but be true to yourself and chase it down. Like, nobody hands anything to you. Life, you have to go out and get it, and that's at the crux of it all. That's what it is. You have to go and get the thing. But you just need to find what you love and go do it. Like, we can do anything in this world. You can do whatever you want to do. You can choose to do the right thing or the wrong thing, and I think that comes down to what you want to do in life as well. You can either do what you want to do, or you can fall in with the rest of them and do what everybody else is doing. For me, I found it more fulfilling to go do what I want to do, so life gets easier. Even though it gets busier, it gets easier because you're on the track. Things start making sense, doors start opening, options start coming up. There's certain options that have come up with this business that I would have never thought would have been an option, like this case in point. Like, for me, speaking to cameras and stuff like this is a peculiar thing. Like, I'm not very good with social media or any of those type of things, but like, just throwing yourself into it and doing it, even if it's hard and it's uncomfortable and you don't particularly want to, just do it because the gains that you make from that stress and those pressures and those awkward times are worth everything. That's what builds it. That's what shows you the ways. That's what just instills the right way of doing things. And if you follow your dreams, you're never going to go too far wrong because the doors will open and you're in the right track. And the only way to get on that pad is by listening to you at the start, listening to what's inside there, you know.